Okay, good morning to everybody out there. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for today's Lunch and Learn. This is our third installment for 2021, so we're glad you were able to join us. Today's topic is going to be all about how to use reputation management as a way to build your business. Just to some quick housekeeping notes. For those of you who have not joined us before, you'll see on the right side of your panel that there's some information where you can use the chat channel, as well as we'll be having some downloads available to you throughout the course of the webinar. So if there's something that you care to download at that point in time, feel free to click it. If not, know that we will be sending it to you afterwards as well. So if you don't get to it or you happen to miss it, don't panic. We love audience participation, so there will be some questions and some quizzes throughout, so hopefully you will participate. They're fun, and there's prizes involved, so hopefully you'll join us. Today's panel of experts, I'll start off by introducing Ben Ladani. Ben's the CEO and founder for Creative MMS.
Hello, glad to be here today. As Jennifer says, I'm the founder and CEO of Creative, and have a lovely family with 3 kids at home, live in Newtown, Pennsylvania, and right now in the Philadelphia office. Excited to talk to you guys today.
Thanks, Ben. We also have Chelsea Craig, who's the founder of Rhino Reviews.
Hi, as Jen mentioned, Chelsea Craig, Rhino Reviews, just outside of Philly in Wayne, PA. Wishing I was in an office interacting with people, but currently still at home and excited to be here today.
And we also have Lauren Devens, who's our digital marketing and social media specialist at Creative.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren. I'm currently living in media, but I am in the Philadelphia office today as well. So I'm really excited to get started and have this discussion with everyone.
Great. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jennifer Greenjack. I'm the Director of Marketing at Creative MMS. Been there now for just about 2 years, but been in marketing for quite some time, and really just enjoy everything there is about the digital marketing industry. So getting started, some key takeaways that we're hoping people will learn is, how do people make decisions online? What roles do my website play? How do I evaluate my own social media? How critical are my online reviews? And how can I take immediate action? If there is something in addition that you'd like to learn, please let us know. And at any point in time, drop it into the chat channel. We'll be sure to address it as we go along. And before we get started, as always, we love to start out with a poll. So I'm going to keep this poll up for a little bit of time. Feel free to answer as you wish, or change your answer if you do wish. But we really want to understand a little bit more about what makes you tick and what challenges you face the most. So it'll really help us to understand how we can better customize this presentation for everybody that's on the call. All right. Starting off with Ben. Go for it.
Yeah, so as you guys all know, people buy from those that they know, like, and trust, right? And so when we are choosing to do business with a company, choosing a service, you try and make sure that you can trust the company that you're going to pick to do those services for you or work with you. It extends beyond that to products. Like, we want to make sure that we can trust that we're going to buy the product from a brand that's going to do a good job. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today is how you replicate that trust online. How can you build a reputation with your brand online in a way that you know that your prospects or customers are going to respond positively to. So there are a couple key things that we talk about. There's basically 4 pieces that we want to make sure that any business that's going to work on their digital trust signals, as we call them, are going to make sure that they look the part for their prospects. And I want you to think about this not from the perspective of your business, but from the perspective of a buyer or a prospect for your business. And what are they going to see when they come to check out the services that they're looking for? Well, they're going to check out your website, and they're going to see, on your website, if you have the information that you need there. We'll go into this in a little bit more detail. They're also going to look at your social media. I mean, we now know that fans and followers are kind of like a metric that people use to judge whether or not this is a company that's been around and is trustworthy, as well as Lauren's going to talk about, just recency of posts and how frequently people are posting to make sure that they're active. Their reviews, and Chelsea's going to talk about this in great detail, but we all use those ratings and reviews to make sure that we can trust the company that we're going to buy from. And that's really essential. And then directories. I mean, is this person listed on, let's say if you're a restaurant, right? You need to be on certain restaurant websites, Grubhub nowadays, and Yelp, making sure that you have your information up to date there. And those four things kind of come together so that when somebody is searching for your business, that you have a consistent brand across all those four pieces is kind of an undertone that they're going to check subconsciously even to see if you're a reliable business. So for example, you guys have all, I'm sure, seen when you go to a website, then you transition to that social media business, and there's some disconnect in terms of the way that the logo looks on their social media versus their website, or the colors are different because they rebranded and they didn't update it in two different places or something like that. That's a trust signal for most people, and that is really important to make sure that those colors and fonts are consistent. Also, the content is what you say consistent. So a lot of times we talk about in the businesses that we work with, a lot of them are B2B, and their LinkedIn About Us page maybe doesn't match the services that they now perform for companies, and they've updated their website to say that. And that's another trust signal, is what are you saying about what you can do? And then the messaging in terms of how you say it, right? If you're more of a high-tech company and you're speaking very technical versus you're kind of down-to-earth and approachable, that tone of the content that you put is usually a trust signal. And this is all, it really pertains a lot to social media as well. When you start to see posts that feel off-brand, I mean, you guys see this, I'm sure, on a personal standpoint. When somebody posts something that doesn't feel like them, everybody kind of just takes that big step back and says, wow, that seemed off-brand for that person. Well, that's the way you need to be thinking about it for your company as well. So we talk about this push versus pull in terms of marketing. There's kind of two types of marketing in the way that we think about things, but there is an undertone of them working very closely together, which is outbound and inbound marketing, right? And push is about that you're pushing your services and your information out towards people, and pull is more about that you're trying to bring them in on the content that you're putting out there, maybe the social media that's out there, to try and get them to come in and understand more about what you do. Both of those things, all of what we're talking about today, really is really significant towards that, because in both cases, the trust that you portray online is going to be relevant in terms of whether or not your audience is going to pick up the phone and call you, or whether or not they're going to choose to do business with you. So one of the pieces that we talk about is the website. And there are kind of 3 points that I would call out to make sure that your website is evaluated from the perspective of a prospect and what they're going to look at. First off, they're going to see if you're legit. I mean, you guys have all, I'm sure, gone to a website where it looks like somebody's brother-in-law did it, or it's kind of just really, thrown together, and it doesn't really look like a legit business, and people's spidey senses go up. So you want to make sure that it's professionally done, designed nicely, content that speaks to the right audience. Can you solve my problem? And I put "my" in caps there because they're going to try and profile themselves as the target audience and say, is this company for me? Do they work for people like me? So you really want to make sure that you're answering that question about who do you serve on the website, making sure that they understand that it's you, that they could be a potential prospect for your business. And then, are you capable? Do you have the expertise, the knowledge, the team, the capacity to be able to handle whatever it is that that prospect is looking for? And those 3 things kind of come together and, really make a good website, from the basics of the basics to building trust with an audience. So how do you get here? Some of the things you might want to do: review your buyer's journey with an objective lens. The buyer's journey is really something that we look at as far as like, what does somebody need to see when they just are coming into the business or just finding out about you? What do they need to see when they're evaluating you? What do they need to see when they're a current customer? And all of those things, making sure that objectively you're looking at your website from that perspective. You could hire a web agency like us, do a UX review centered around business goals, and making sure that mobile devices, standard devices, everything is kind of jiving as far as the way that somebody should expect to work through your website. This is a good tip, but ask a customer, like maybe one of your better customers, to review your website and give an eye towards improvement. Ask them to give, their top 10 list of things that, they would suggest that you change, because they'll give you a perspective that's not from the inside. And then you could grade yourself using our 12-point UX checklist. This is one of the things that's a downloadable and an offer that Jennifer's going to make public here now. On that right side panel, you can see it. But it's a download that you could use so that you can make sure that you're checking the boxes on those 12 points that we typically make sure we cover when we're performing a website design for a client.
All right, thanks, Ben. So before we move along to the next topic here, we're going to have a quick pop quiz for everyone. So the question that we have here is, what percentage of customers read online reviews before buying a product? So if you could just leave your answers down in the chat or to the right, depending on how you have your screen set up. We'll leave the chat open for a little bit here just to make sure everyone has a chance to submit their answers. And the first person to get the correct or the closest answer will receive a $10 Amazon gift card.
Oh, we got a sneak peek.
Oh my God.
It's okay. Nobody saw it.
Yeah, I was
No
going to
one's
say
looking.
It was really quick. All right, we're waiting. Anybody have a guess? Come on, we actually almost gave you the answer.
$10 on the line here.
I know, Price is Right rules. All right. Looks like everybody's kind of, Robin got it.
Robin's paying attention.
Robin, the sneaky one.
Robin, how did
She
you
wins.
know? Okay, you're so right. 93% of customers read online reviews before buying a product. Yeah, so that's a really high number. I think that just really illustrates the importance of making sure your reviews are up to date and as positive as possible. So congrats, Robin. All right, so for social media evaluation and your action plan, one important aspect of managing your online reputation is social media. Social media is the new street cred. So your social media platforms will show up on Google when people research your brand, most likely even on the first page of results. Your social media is really where you can show off your brand's personality and give your audience a sneak peek into your company behind the scenes. So, but you'll need to have a strategy in place before posting on social media if you want to be effective and work in your online reputation's favor. So one piece to consider is choosing the right platform or platforms for your audience. You'll have to know your audience and target persona's habits online if you want to reach them. So if your brand is more visual, like an interior design company or an architecture firm, you'll want to be active on social media platforms that allow you to showcase your work through images, like Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook are all really good places to start. But doing the research into your audience's behavior before creating your social profiles will help you maximize the effectiveness of your platforms. Another thing to consider is having a strategy for what to say and when to say it. You can take a look at your competitors' profiles and take stock of what types of posts are getting the best engagement. Maybe your audience will respond best to video content or maybe respond better to infographics. But if you're just starting out on socials, I'd recommend combining best practices for your specific industry and strategies from your competitors' profiles to build effective messaging specifically for your audience. But even if you have highly effective social posts, your audience won't see them if they're not online. So content on social platforms has a very short shelf life. So you'll want to track the best times to post based on your goals and make sure your audience is seeing what you've spent time creating. You can also consider a content strategy workshop for your team. It helps to get multiple points of view and insights from your team to build your content strategy. And this will help you decide the best messaging and tone of posts to fit your followers' interests. So if you have a fun company culture and you want to showcase that, you can benefit from keeping the tone of your posts light and fun, but just make sure to keep it professional and keep it catered to your audience. Also, you can demonstrate your expertise through LinkedIn. It's an excellent way to build rapport with your audience and make some new professional connections as well. It's especially important for B2B brands. So if you're marketing to other business owners, your best bet is to stay active on LinkedIn. You can create a professional page for your brand and interact with industry content there. You can also join LinkedIn groups and share your expertise. But just remember to keep any posts that you put in a LinkedIn group relevant to avoid coming off as spammy. But you also want to think about your LinkedIn profile, your personal one. Make sure it's up to date, looks professional, and it's consistent with your brand's business page. So if you post a new blog or launch a new service for your brand, you should leverage both your business and your personal LinkedIn pages to make sure it's promoted. And so there's definitely a lot of different ways you can build your brand using LinkedIn. Another point is to be consistent. Come up with a strategy for how often you want to post and stick to it. So if you find that you're not posting enough or if you're posting too much for your audience and you're not getting the engagement that you want, you can reevaluate your strategy. But if you suddenly post once, if you're posting once a day for several weeks and then suddenly you stop posting, then you can result in losing any connections that you may have made. And speaking of consistency, just make sure that any images that you post across your social media are high quality and the right dimensions for that specific platform. Because if you're providing important information to your audience, you're going to want to make sure that they can see it clearly and it's optimized correctly for that page. And then finally, you'll want to plan your rules around responses. So you can decide with your team ahead of time how quickly you should respond to any images that come in or any messages that come in. So if a disgruntled customer tries to contact you via social media and you leave their message out in the open, this will hurt your social street cred. But make sure you show, or you know how long you have to respond to the types of messages, and you want to know what responses you can use. So any negative feedback should be handled quickly and with a strategy in order to avoid any negativity, but positive feedback as well should also be responded to in a timely manner to encourage future positive comments. But whether you like their post or send back a full response, just make sure that you have a strategy in place and everyone in your team is aligned.
Awesome. So really excited to talk to everyone about reviews. I know we asked that survey at the beginning and did a quick poll, and actually 100% of you answered within there that you were looking for more positive reviews on the internet. So it's clearly an engaged audience. You understand the importance. And really online reviews for businesses function as kind of an online conversation. As Ben mentioned, people buy from businesses that they know, like, and trust. And it can be a little strange to think that trust can be built virtually through a screen. However, if you think about it, it makes sense when really over half of the adult population, half of your customers and consumers nowadays, we were raised with technology in our hands, with the internet, with cell phones. We've been taught to trust these, what we read online and take it as the truth. Ben, I know you and I were talking the other day, and you had a great story about this. Can you share that? I
mean, and talk about the current youth now that's just raised with technology in their hands all the time. So my 9-year-old son, his name's Joey. I was sitting outside with him and we saw a truck, had a really interesting name and logo, but we didn't know what they did from the name or logo. So, we had a conversation about brand names and how they pertain to businesses. And I gave him my phone, and the kids use the term search it up. So I said, search up the brand name and we'll find out what they do. Well, we found out it was a mobile dog grooming company. And he says, well, I wouldn't hire them. I said, well, why wouldn't you hire them? He said, I didn't know what they did. So and of course he's subjected to all the marketing and brand stuff that he hears in the house all the time. But I said, you know what, why don't you search up mobile dog grooming services and tell me which one you would pick. And so he takes my phone and he types it in. He, scrolls through it for a second. He says, oh, I like this one. And I said, which one is it? And he says, it's Blue Pooch Grooming. I said, oh, really interesting. Why do you like that one? And he says, well, it's because they have 52 reviews with an average of almost 5 stars. And I said, there you go, Chelsea. I mean, that's exactly why we do what we do. But it's a great story in terms of the fact that he's 9 years old and that's the way that they think already. So thanks for letting me share that, Chelsea. Go for it.
Of course, I love it. I mean, we're ingrained from day one, consumers, kids, and you talk about who controls a house. Kids control the house and purchasing decisions, and they're definitely seeing that nowadays. But really kind of getting right into it. So as Ben just mentioned, there were 2 things that he said that Joey looked at, not only the amount of reviews, but he also acknowledged the star rating. And what that highlights is when it comes to reviews, it truly is just beyond the stars. New York Times released an article last fall, and the title of it was When a Star is Not Just a Star, the World of Online Reviews. And I thought that title just perfectly summarizes really the importance of reviews from multiple avenues. So first and foremost, the rating is what matters. And that's literally, what is your rating? Are you a 3.2? Are you a 4 or 5? Where do you fall? What most people don't realize is you at the minimum for a business really need to be at that 4.0. A lot of platforms actually have automatic filters set up where they won't show listings, or they'll move them to the second page that are below a 4.0, because those platforms want to provide their customers with the best businesses out there, and they themselves view below 4.0 as not a good quality business. So your customers might not even be seeing you. We also talk about rank. And as a company whose name is Rhino Reviews, we're going to go through the 4 R's. I forgot to mention, I love alliteration. So anywhere we can have that in the presentation, it's happening. So rank. again, where are you falling when people search for you against your competition? A lot of local businesses, B2B service providers, we talk about, local SEO. They talk about the Google My Business listing and how do they appear more relevant. Your reviews and your ratings are actually the third largest contributor to where you rank from a local SEO standpoint. Additionally, most important, everyone really knows that Google 3-pack. Are you on those coveted kind of 3 spots? Google has shown that 70% of business searches go to that local 3-pack. So really a way to drive an effect if your business is in that spot is by growing those reviews. Relevance. Relevance, we talk about this kind of in twofold. From the business standpoint, really look at where are those reviews? Are they on platforms that are relevant for your business and going to help? What I mean by that is a Google review holds a lot more power than a review that's on the yellow pages. Yes, they're both a review. Yes, they're both online, but let's think about what platform is going to be the most relevant for your audience. The other way that we really talk about that is when it comes to the actual reviewer themselves. Are they a credible reviewer? Do they have a real name, or are they using kind of a pseudonym funny profile? Is the review that they've written professional? Does it have correct grammar? Am I, as a potential customer, reading this person's review and thinking, wow, that's a quality, I can trust what that person wrote? Or is that review really just coming across as, I think it was written by the company themselves, or, that I can't trust what it says? And then the last one is, and Lauren just talked about this, is responding. Always respond. A big miss there that she mentioned in the right way is everyone knows when you get something negative, you need to respond to it. What she harped on also, though, is the public responses. Those are just as important as the negative ones. Those people that took the time out to write you a positive review are your public brand champions. And it's really important that you thank them for taking the time to provide that feedback for you. So mixing it up, we had some good guesses the first time through. We have another opportunity for someone to win a coveted $10 Amazon gift card. No cheating here. The question that we have right now is, according to Google Stats, how many businesses do you think respond to their online reviews? We're going to do like a 5.
That's a percentage. What percentage of businesses? So it'll make it.
Oh, percentage. Sorry. Yes. What percentage? And no wrong answers here. Price is Right rules. So if you're the closest to it, we've got a couple answers coming in. We've got Jackie guessing 60, Stephanie at 57, and Casey at 47. With that, we're going to call it. And Casey, you are the winner at 47. It's actually even less than that. Only 37% of businesses, just over a third, actively respond to their reviews. Again, these are lost opportunities, both from an upset customer as well as a positive customer, to really continue that conversation and engage with your audience. But all good guesses. I think what's shocking there is how high you all guessed. Again, this is just a huge opportunity. So when we talk about, we've talked about the value of reviews. That's no surprise there. Let's talk about really the strategy. How are you coming up with it? There is a little bit more strategy versus just asking for those reviews. When you come up with an action plan, no different than when you're talking about your social media or website, you want to have a strategy with your reviews. Typically, when we're talking with clients and crafting that strategy with them, we advise sticking with alliterations, follow the 3 C's. You've got look at your competition. What platforms are they on? Where are they, really going after customers? What kind of reviews, the totals do they have right now? What's their ranking? The reason for that is if your competition is really dialed into a certain platform, there's probably a reason. So you might want to look at it, make sure that you're appearing on those search results where they are so that you can, match and mirror. The conversation. What we mean by that is, again, that conversation is carried online when you have reviews. How are you continuing that with your customers? When they post those reviews there, what plan do you have to respond to that in a professional and timely manner? When it comes to this continued conversation online, quick tip about the negative reviews. A business is never right when it comes to responding online in a negative light. Be professional, be short, be concise, and follow up with that individual offline, but don't go back and forth and engage with them trying to paint a long story about what occurred. And then lastly, finishing up the continued use. And what we mean by that is once you have these reviews and these testimonials on these public platforms, what are additional ways that you can continue to use them as influence and leverage to help to help attract more customers. How are you using them in social media posts, whether that be Fan Friday, Testimonial Tuesday? Are you streaming them to your website, including them in your newsletters, or maybe even for internal praise for your teams and employees? Those are kind of the strategy outline. Once you've completed that exercise, then it really is getting down to the nitty gritty, asking for reviews. It sounds simple, but it sounds silly, but it's truly that simple. One thing that we find though, is you need to find a way to automate the process. As a business or business owner, you're very busy. That might be the focus this week, but when normal things take back over, you forget to ask. In fact, we found that 73% of businesses don't continuously ask for reviews. Find a way to automate it, work with the company to do it, but you've got to do it continuously. Again, leverage those reviews for marketing, choose the right platform, and most importantly, again, respond to those reviews. The directories. So this is an interesting one. A directory is simply just what's the platform that the reviews are written on. Obviously, everyone knows Google. Google is king. Typically, we say Facebook is queen because it's a very strong backlink that will also appear in your first page search results. And similar to Google, your stars and your rating have the opportunity to appear underneath your URL. And just again, add that subconscious influence that you're a great business. We typically recommend businesses have 3 options for customers to leave reviews on. And that third option, we typically say, have it be an industry-specific platform for you. For example, right here, everyone can kind of get a quick look at this and say, this is clearly someone in the health industry. You've got ZocDoc up here. And these are platforms that would be relevant, again, for someone in that medical industry. So really taking a look and seeing what's that third platform that might be most specific for you. If you're a lawyer, let's get you on FindLaw. As Ben mentioned, if you're a restaurant, you really need to be on Grubhub, Yelp. You most likely know what those relevant platforms are, though. One other little point that we do want to mention about the directories that's very important, when you are making that choice, some platforms are pay to play. What we mean by that is you do have to pay in order to literally pay to play. You have to pay to be on that platform. And unfortunately, if you stop paying for those advertising or sponsorship fees, you will lose those credible reviews. So we really caution you, take the time to research those platforms before you start growing on there, because if you end up, halting that, you're going to lose all that hard work and all that great customer feedback that you've put in. And it's a little hard to go back to customers months or years later and ask them for reviews again. So that was kind of the outline for that. These are just some typical questions we really get from businesses a lot. When it comes to online reviews and just asking for them, can I just maintain it and do it myself? Why do I need support with this? And with that, we say absolutely. I could file my taxes, but I typically use HR Block to help me out with that. The reason, as you all answered at the beginning of this, we had 100% of people say they need more positive reviews. This isn't a revolutionary idea. Again, there's a reason why that's not already happening. It's because you have other fires and other things to do. Again, really find a way to be consistent with asking for reviews, automating it, getting some type of program or system in place. The next one is typically like, I don't ask for reviews because if my customers or clients are happy, they're just going to naturally leave me one. I don't need to write a review, or I don't need to ask for those reviews. It'll just happen. While we wish that were true, unfortunately, the only reviews typically that are posted organically are negative because people love to complain and be heard. When it comes to these great interactions, a lot of customers expect that nowadays, and that's the norm. I mean, think about yourself personally. When's the last time you've had an incredible interaction, great customer service, great customer support? Did you go leave a review? Did you write that person a note somewhere? Probably not. So this is a plug, go do that really quickly. But it also, again, we're busy. We've got a lot going on. We don't think about going and writing those reviews. By sending them some type of automated message, it just prompts that back into their mind to do that. And then lastly, the bulleted one, but what if I receive a bad review? You will. People love to complain, as we mentioned, especially after the year that we've just had. We've got a lot of pent up anger and we take it out on businesses. But really don't fear it. You need to respond to it quickly, professionally, and then follow up with that person or individual offline if you think there's an opportunity to re-engage with them. But at the end of the day, also shake it off, move on, and let it go. You've got a lot of other things in your business. Handle it as best you can, and then don't let it, take up time and ruin your day. We talk with a lot of business owners and it eats at them. I know it can be hard, but there's, you're in business because you have happy customers. Don't let that one totally destroy it for you. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Ben.
Yeah, cool. So just to sum it up here, here's kind of the full action plan. Really just go take off the hat of the business owner or the marketer at the company and just put on the hat of a prospective buyer, or even nowadays, a lot of people are recruiting. So even like a new recruit for your business, and just go through the process of trying to find the services that you offer, go through the process of trying to look up your brand, and with a very objective lens, go through the website, social media accounts, and see what you see. Take notes as if you were that person, and those will be really good insights as to how you should kind of tailor your messaging or tailor your brand on those different, on the website and social media accounts to make sure that it's correct and optimized for that audience. We set that offer up. I already saw a couple of people download it. If you haven't gotten it, there's an offer there for the 12-point checklist. This is an easy way for you to go through and bullet point out the 12 things that you should do on a website to make sure it's right. Things like it's secure with HTTPS, and things like there are clear calls to action on the page, but not too many of them. So those are the things as experts that we just have been telling people they have to do. Build out a content calendar for your social media. I mean, I can tell you it is almost 100% of the time when people are not posting online on their social media accounts, it is because they just do not have a content plan. It's the blank canvas type syndrome of an artist staring at that blank canvas and not knowing what to paint. But you really need to just have a calendar and sit down. And we do this for our clients with workshops, but helping plan out what should we be writing when, what's important and relevant to our industry on key dates in the calendar, what holidays are there that we just want to make sure that we cover. So those things are really important, and just putting that down in a spreadsheet or just any format that works for you is a good first step towards making sure that you're posting ongoing and you have a plan. It's also a good way to look at it consistently to say, does this meet with kind of the things that we want to make sure we're talking about? Complete that reputation strategy. As Chelsea mentioned, you're going to want to look at making sure that you have a plan for how you're going to attract new reviews and cover those 4 R's, like she said, and what you're going to do when you get a bad one, which hopefully you don't. We personally, and just tell you this, Chelsea works with us to make sure that anytime we hear somebody say something positive about us, we reach out and we try and get them to put that publicly. So we'll get an email and say, your team was awesome. The account manager was great. The website looks awesome. You guys are rocking and rolling. Your campaigns are running great. And we've seen an uptick in our business, and we've got a lot more business as a result of what we're doing. And we immediately say, hey, that's great. Could you say that one more time? Just like that, exactly the way you said it, but post it online. So that's an important part of our strategy, and everyone has their own, I'm sure. And then complete that directory discovery. As Chelsea showed you, the ZocDoc examples of those, medical professionals. Look at your industry, go search for your competitor, search for yourself, and search for specifically like those industry services and see what comes up for directories that list those types of industry businesses. And then make sure that you focus on, like Chelsea said, the one that you really want to focus on. So for us, it's Clutch. Clutch is kind of like an agency directory, and we've really focused on getting positive reviews there, which has helped our business tremendously. You want to make sure that you do that. Another tip there would be, there are some ways to kind of aggregate all the information out to multiple directories. And so if you have questions about that, Chelsea, I'm sure can help there. And then it's solicit, monitor, and respond to your reviews. So, it's not just like a set it and forget it, that you've got that reputation strategy and you know what you're going to do, but you have to know when a positive review comes out. Did you engage with that person? Do you know that they said that? We like to, actually reach out and thank somebody for a positive review after they even posted it, even if we knew that it was coming. We also share it internally because it's a great way to, build culture and inspire the team with the ability to have so many positive reviews and tell them that they're doing a great job. So make sure that you're asking for them, make sure you're monitoring them and responding to them. So with that, you can get your free online review audit. There is, URL right here that you can see, creativemms.com/reputation-audit. And you'll get a personalized reputation report, assessment of social media accounts, and a 15-minute discovery call to just kind of probe into more about you and your brand. You want to add anything to that, Chelsea?
We look forward to it. There's always some takeaways to learn, something to see. We welcome everyone to fill that out.
Great. I've also put that offer in the chat section. So if you do want to just download it directly from there, there's a link there as well, in case you don't want to write all that down or type it all in. Okay, so thank you very much to Chelsea, Ben, and Lauren for your participation. And we're now opening it up for Q&A. The chat, I haven't seen any questions come through on the chat as we've been talking. But if you have any questions that maybe we didn't get a chance to answer, in the meantime, we did have some survey questions come in from people when they registered. So one of the questions was, if our audience or the people we're trying to attract are new recruits, new employees, should we be asking our employees to leave reviews, meaning team members? How does that work? And maybe that's a Chelsea question to start.
Yeah, I'll take it, and then I'm sure, Ben, you have some feedback as well. It is very crucial. Indeed, and Glassdoor, especially, the now more than ever feature, with the shift to virtual hiring, as well as just recruiting in general, has become a lot more competitive. And these online platforms, no different than when someone's shopping for a new item, they're turning to these platforms, to your website, to your Glassdoor profile, to judge who you are as a business. What is your culture like? What do the employees think of you? What awards, what photos do you have up there? So just as a business approaches building out their Google listing or their BBB profile, you need to build that out on your Indeed and Glassdoor. And we highly recommend you asking for employee reviews there as well. One thing that we do hear a lot from companies that they don't realize is on Glassdoor, similar to other platforms, you can and should be responding to those reviews also. A lot of businesses don't realize that they have the ability to do that. We highly recommend you publicly respond, as well as follow up offline if you know who the individual was and they weren't anonymous.
Don't have anything to add there, Chelsea. You covered it. That's awesome.
Great. Robin has a question. What are some of the sites you can see reviews of companies? So I'm thinking that's a Chelsea question.
Yeah, that's a really great question. See reviews of companies. Robin, I might ask you if you mean reviews of companies in regards to kind of what we were just talking about from an employee standpoint, or reviews of the business itself. If we're talking about the business itself and you're doing that kind of exploratory review strategy check, what we typically recommend there is just as simple as it sounds, literally Googling yourself, typing in your company name, seeing what directories pop up on that first and second page search results. Then type in your company name and then reviews. So for example, Ben would type in Creative MMS. Let's see what pops up on that front page. As he mentioned, they have stellar reviews on their Glassdoor, or on their Clutch, also on their Glassdoor and their Google My Business. Then they're going to type in Creative MMS reviews, because that'll pull more review focused platforms versus if you have other kind of just like great content out there.
Yeah, I would say just globally, Google is the answer there for most of the companies that are out there. I mean, they're spending a ton of energy and dollars in terms of aggregating reviews. As a result, Chelsea mentioned that 3-pack. So when you search for something, the search engine's result page is going to show, especially if it's a local search or a near me search, who those local businesses are and what their ratings are and their average stars and a number of reviews directly right in there. So I do not think you can ignore Google. I think they kind of own it from a directory standpoint. They've been indexing websites for longer than most people. So I would say that. And then socially as well, we talked about Facebook. May not be a platform to focus a ton of your energy on if you're a business to business, but definitely covering the basics and making sure that people can post positive reviews. If you have any negative, you're engaging with them there. So those two are the ones I would make sure you cover.
Great. And I guess that kind of leads into the next question that we received earlier was, besides just getting the reviews on Google, what should I do with them? I think what they were saying is they've gotten reviews on Google, but they just kind of sit there. So are there ways that these can be used?
Yeah, I mean, somebody talking about you publicly and saying something positive, I think there's ownership there, Chelsea, in terms of, I know some networks, which I think you can cover in terms of the answer to whether or not you can use it in your marketing. But I will definitely say that we do. We even have like a reviews page right on our website that highlights some of the testimonials and reviews that have been publicly posted. But Chelsea, what else would you add there?
Yeah, and great call. Definitely double check what the policies are, who you need to credit, how you need to credit it when it's written on a certain platform, because they all have a little bit of difference and you don't want to put yourself in trouble. But I would throw it back to Lauren. And, as she was talking about that content calendar, how can you use it on social media? How can you use it, as Ben mentioned, either on your website or in newsletters? but there's a large opportunity from social to put stuff out there.
Oh yeah, sure, definitely. I mean, there are some like templates on Canva, for example, where you can just enter in the testimonial itself, and then you just make sure that the person who left the review is comfortable with it, because you don't want to get in any trouble with them. But basically, you can share it on your social media accounts, and then you can use that as an opportunity to say, hey, we got this really great review. If you've had a positive experience with us too, here's a link and you can leave a review as well. So it's definitely a continuous cycle, but you can create images off of it. You can create infographics. You can even create an animated video if you have the tools to do that. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of great ways to use reviews visually and engage your audience.
Great. All right, last question I have, that's how frequently should I post on social media? So I guess that goes to you, Lauren.
Yeah, that's a good question. So it is kind of it depends question, since all audiences are unique and all businesses are unique. But there are definitely some best practices you can implement and make adjustments along the way as you receive engagement. But on LinkedIn, I would definitely say you would want to post once every workday, since that's typically when people are active on LinkedIn. And on Facebook and Instagram, I'd recommend posting about once a day or at least 4 times a week, just to keep your audience engaged, but not post too much and come off as spammy in any way. Twitter is a bit different because it is a very by-the-minute platform. So you can get away with posting multiple times per day without annoying any of your followers and getting unfollowers. But in general, on all of your platforms, you want to make sure you're keeping consistent with your posting frequency, just so that you can stay on top of mind with your audience and make sure that you're not getting any surprises. I hope that was helpful.
I'm not sure who asked the question, but I'm sure it was.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have. Does anybody else have any other questions? I don't see anything else coming through on the chat channel unless I might have missed it. And if that's not the case, then I would like to thank everybody for joining us. I do hope that you were able to get some great information from our team here. We will be having our next Lunch and Learn in April. More information to come, so stay tuned for that. And thank you again for joining us. Have a wonderful day and happy spring. Yay.
Yay. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.